Thank you. We are about to commence our post-cabinet briefing, but let me start by just apologizing. Minister was held up somewhere, but he's here and he's ready to commence with the briefing. Kevin, are you ready? Thank you. So it's over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Pumla, and all the people of the media. Let me start by the implementation of key government programs. Yesterday, Cabinet welcomed the 20 million rand Enterprise Development Pilot Project. This two-year pilot program aims to revitalize South Africa's industrial parks, to establish specialized industrialized facilities and support the integration of local economic development in order to ensure that we bolster the small business sector. This project is a partnership with Departments of Trade and Industry, Small Business Development, National Treasury, and the Middle Income Grant of the African Development Bank. This project envisages to contribute towards job creation, reduce poverty in depressed communities, and also to improve access to technology skills for small, medium, and micro enterprises. This initiative will offer support to the SME sector until December 2017, and based on its successes, our government will consider rolling out across our country. Cabinet also welcomed the launch of President Jacob Zuma of the Joint Operations Center in Skukuza, which happened last week. This center will coordinate operations against the scourge of rhino poaching in that area. Some of the key cabinet decisions. Cabinet approved the Black Industrialist Policy, BIP, which is part of the Industrial Policy Action Plan, and the policy is in line with our National Development Plan, the NDP, and the 9-point plan which the President announced in his State of the Nation address earlier this year. This BIP is also part of government's broad industrialization initiatives to expand the industrial base and inject new entrepreneurial dynamism in the South African economy. It calls for bolder policy interventions on the part of the government to expand the industrial base of the country and grow the economy through dedicated support to black industrialists as highlighted in that Industrial Policy Action Plan. The policy will also focus on the growth and global competitiveness of black-owned enterprises. Our intention is to contribute towards shifting the demographic composition of South Africa's industrial sector and engage black industrialists who are regarded as the underused sources of jobs, revenue, taxes, and innovation. The policy will also facilitate meaningful participation of majority black-owned and managed companies in the value chains in the industrial sector of the South African economy. My cabinet colleague, the Minister of Trade and Industry, will hold a separate media briefing to unpack this policy. We also approved the South Africa's third national report on the implementation of the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety for submission to the Secretariat of the Convention of Biological Diversity. This protocol governs the movements of living modified organisms, also known as genetically modified organisms, which result from modern biotechnology from one country to another. Our country is the 9th largest producer of genetically modified crops in the world, and we remain the pioneer for the adoption of genetically modified crops. And this is aligned to Section 24 of our Constitution, which advocates for sustainable use of biodiversity. We also approved South Africa's initial services offer in terms of the decision of the 9th World Trade Organization, the WTO, Ministerial Conference to grant preferential treatment to least developed countries, the LDCs. Our country is committed to implement the WTO agreement, which provides preferential support to LDCs. Of the 34 countries classified, 25 are from Africa. South Africa's initial offering will be on the services in the financial services, telecommunications, tourism, transport. Such an offering forms of the easing of market access for services and service providers into the markets of non-LDCs. Cabinet also approved a revised remuneration of 5.5% cost of living adjustment to be paid to the members of the South African Human Rights Commission. This will take effect from the 1st of April 2015. And this is in line with Section 9.1 of the South African Human Rights Commission Act of 2013. Cabinet also approved the submission of South Africa's combined second periodic report under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the initial report under the Protocol to the African Charter on the Rights of Women in Africa. The report to the African Union Commission is an evaluation of achievements and also challenges in giving effect to civil, political, socio-economic, and cultural rights. And this is in line with our country being party to the AU Protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa. We also approved the introduction of the Lesotho dispensation to commence from the 1st of February 2016. This follows the special dispensation that was granted to Zimbabwe in 2010, which has subsequently been extended. This dispensation will assist in better management of the labor flow of Lesotho nationals who come to our country in violation of the country's current immigration mechanisms. The Minister of Home Affairs will provide more details at a media briefing at a later stage. The Minister of Finance briefed Cabinet on the implementation of the Taxation Laws Amendment Act of 2013 to take effect from the 1st of March 2016. These reforms are aimed at harmonizing and simplifying the taxation of retirement contributions and benefits. Extending the tax benefit to cover members' provident funds will enable over 1 million workers to enjoy a higher take-home salary. This will also prevent tax avoidance practices by higher income earners to maximum of 27.5% of remuneration or taxable income up to 350,000 rand. The Minister also briefed Cabinet on the principle of annuitization for all retirement funds, whereby those benefiting from the tax deduction also have to annuitize part of their savings at retirement. All these reforms are implemented after extension consultation with all stakeholders within and outside of the National Economic Development and Labour Council network, with at least 33 meetings that have been held with labour and industry since 2012. The overwhelming majority of stakeholders have indicated their full support for proceeding with these reforms as from the 1st of March 2016. Bills. Cabinet approved the submission of the Broadcasting Amendment Bill of 2015 to Parliament. This bill amends the Broadcasting Act of 1999 so as to develop and implement a stable corporate governance model that ensures long-term stability and sustainability of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, the SABC. Government is committed to a strong, independent, and relevant public broadcaster which is accountable to the shareholder, the public, as well as Parliament. The ability to discharge its mandate is dependent on the optimal performance of the SABC board in providing strategic direction to the public broadcaster. We also approved the Insurance Bill of 2015 to be introduced in Parliament. This bill provides a consolidated legal framework for the prudential supervision of insurance sector that is consistent with international standards for insurance regulation. The bill enhances the current risk management, capital and governance requirements. It replaces and also consolidates substantial parts of the Long-Term Insurance Act of 1998 and also the Short-Term Insurance Act of 1998, which relates to prudential supervision. We also approved the publication of the draft African Exploration, Mining and Finance Bill in the Government Gazette for public comment. This bill establishes the African Exploration, Mining and Finance Corporation through legislation. It defines its mandate and strategic objectives and also strengthens the governance and oversight of the entity. We also approved the introduction of the Protected Disclosures Amendment Bill 2015 in Parliament. This bill extends the application of the Protected Disclosures Act of 2000 beyond the traditional employer and employee relationship. These amendments regulate joint liability, introduce a duty to investigate disclosures, provide for immunity against civil and criminal liability in certain circumstances, and also criminalizes intentional false disclosures. It also contributes to government's commitment to fight fraud and corruption by strengthening the protection of whistleblowers. Cabinet also approved the introduction of the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Amendment Bill 2015 to Parliament. This bill amends the Administrative Adjudication of Road Traffic Offences Act of 1998. The bill will assist the Road Traffic Infringement Agency and the issuing authorities to be financially stable, and it also introduces efficiencies in serving notices to infringers. Upcoming events. President Zuma will attend the G20 summit on the 15th and 16th of November in Turkey, where the focus will be on inclusive and robust growth through collective action. The leaders at that summit will discuss inclusiveness, implementation and investment to achieve strong, sustainable and balanced growth at a global level. The President will also undertake an official visit to Berlin in Germany on the 10th of November, where he will be hosted by Chancellor Angela Merkel. The President will also pay a courtesy call to President Joachim Gauck. During that visit, the two countries will reconfirm their commitment to further enhance bilateral and economic relations. President Zuma will also receive the Dutch Premier, Mark Rutte, at the Union Buildings on the 17th of November. And following that visit, the Prime Minister will lead a business delegation to Johannesburg and Cape Town, which will focus on agriculture, healthcare, transport, and infrastructure, as well as water and energy. Our country will host the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit in Johannesburg on the 4th and 5th of December. The objectives of this summit are to profile the 5 to 10-year strategic program for cooperation between South Africa and China, 2015 to 2024, and also to promote bilateral agreements between our two countries. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa will lead a high-level delegation on an official visit to the Islamic Republic of Iran from the 7th to the 9th of November to further bilateral political and economic relations between our two countries. President Zuma will tomorrow conduct a Siyahlola monitoring visit to Bushbuck Ridge in Mpumalanga, which will focus on water and sanitation. A total of 16,600 households are benefiting from Phase 1 of government's water project in that area, which delivers water to 24 villages in the Bushbuck Ridge local municipality. Our government remains committed to ensuring that all South Africans have access to basic services. And between 2002 and 2014, the percentage of households that have access to water has increased from 80% to 86%, while sanitation has increased from 62% to 80%. The President will also attend the inauguration of President-elect of the United Republic of Tanzania today, His Excellency Mr. John Pombe Magufuli, which is taking place today. Cabinet congratulated the public servants who were nominated in the 3rd National Batupile Excellence Award. These awards will take place on the 13th of November at Emperor's Palace, Gauteng, under the theme Batupile, Putting People First. This reward best practice, good performance, and also gauge citizen satisfaction towards our government's performance. Cabinet also congratulates the government and the people of both the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire and the United Republic of Tanzania for holding peaceful elections. The massive participation by the Ivorians and Tanzanians in those general elections reflect their understanding of the importance of exercising their civic duty and fundamental rights. It is an indication of the maturation of the democratization process that is taking place on the African continent. Cabinet also congratulated the Springbok team, Amabhokobhoko, for their performance in the International Rugby Board 2015 World Cup. The team has brought home the bronze medal. We also congratulate the South African swimming team for concluding the FINA Airweave Swimming World Cup in Doha in Qatar. Cameron van der Berg won a gold medal in the 100 meters breaststroke race. Charles de Clos in the 100 meters butterfly also managed a 4th place finish in the 200 meters backstroke wing. Michael Mayer won silver in the 200 meters individual medley. Douglas Erasmus won a bronze medal in the fast pace 50 meters freestyle. And Kaylin Corbett came 8th in the 50 meters breaststroke final, while Calvin Justus also finished 8th in the 200 meters freestyle. Conferences. Cabinet welcomes delegates who will be attending the 4th BRICS International Competition Conference from the 12th to the 13th of November at the Nkosi Albert Luthuli Convention Center in Durban under the theme Competition and Inclusive Growth. This brings together experts in competition law to explore how competition policy can contribute to inclusive growth and economic development in BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Our country's strong competition regulation enables our citizens to participate fairly in our national economy. It promotes the involvement of more people in the productive sectors of the economy and levels the playing fields in business. Our country's competition regulation contributes to greater citizen participation, and it has made material strides in combating cartels and price fixing. It has led the way in the application of public interest considerations in measures as well as acquisitions. Our Transport Minister, Dipuo Peters, will attend the second Global Conference for Ministers of Transport from the 18th to the 20th of November in Brazil, where our country will table its mid-term country report of progress being made on the implementation of the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011 to 2020 Global Plan. Our country has committed itself to reduce road carnage by 50% from 13,967 to below 7,000 by 2020. South Africa is making significant strides in achieving the targets as set out in the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011-2020 Global Plan. And this despite challenges that we are currently facing in our country. Addressing constraints to job creation remains a top priority for our government. The medium-term budget policy statement by the Minister of Finance has highlighted a global economic growth that has slowed with depressed commodity prices as well as increased unemployment in many parts of the world. And this has been reflected in the quarterly labor force survey, which for the third quarter of 2015 recorded unemployment at 25.5%, marginally up from 25.4% in the same quarter in 2014. This underscores the need for all sectors of our country to work with government in support of our country's initiatives to create employment opportunities and get more South Africans into work. Our government, through the 9-point plan, is working to ignite growth and create jobs by unlocking new opportunities in strategic economic areas. Cabinet welcomed the announcement by President Zuma of a 0% increase at tertiary institution for the 2016 academic year. This decision brings much-needed monetary relief, especially to the poor, working class, and lower middle-class families with university students. Cabinet further welcomes the decision by our President to establish a commission to look into all the issues that have been raised by the students. The President will be announcing the commission together with its terms of reference in due course. Cabinet also welcomed the interventions by the Department of Water and Sanitation to assist communities in KwaZulu-Natal and the Free State that have been affected by this recent drought. Areas that are supplied by the country's larger regional water supply dams and schemes remain water secure, as these systems are currently in a positive water balance with a national average dam storage of 60% full. Cabinet also welcomed the establishment of an inter-ministerial committee on water security that is being chaired by Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Pravin Gordhan. The IMC consists of Ministers of Rural Development and Land Reform, Water and Sanitation, Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries. This committee will discuss and propose further interventions to the communities mostly affected by this drought. Cabinet also noted developments in Nigeria regarding MTN's 5.2 billion US dollar fine by the Nigerian Communications Commission. Cabinet trusts that the discussions underway between MTN and the Nigerian authorities will result in the speedy resolution of the dispute so as to ensure MTN continues its business of investing in Nigeria's economy. Cabinet was saddened by the untimely death of Khumani Ngqabula, the son of our colleague, the Defense and Military Veterans Minister, Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngqabula, and Charles Ngqabula, a Member of Parliament. Cabinet conveys its sincerest condolences to the Ngqabula family and friends. Cabinet also extends its heartfelt condolences to the family and relatives of Public Service and Administration Minister Ngwako Ramatludi on the passing of his 95-year-old mother, Matlo Elizabeth Ramatludi. Appointments. All appointments are subject to the verification of qualifications and the relevant clearance. Mr. Mahojare Richard Seleka has been appointed the Director General in the Department of Public Enterprises, and Mr. Robert Ramasodi as the Deputy Director General in Agricultural Production, Health and Food Security in the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. The Board of the Road Traffic Management Corporation has been appointed with Ms. Daphne Haradin Charlotte N. Ewetse, non-executive member, Tulani Matiki Nomen Homo, and the Board of Public Investment Corporation, the PIC, Ms. Lindy Wetoi, Ms. Sandra Beswick, and Ms. Tantaswa Fubu, Dr. Claudia Manning, Mr. Pitsi Paul Moloto, Ms. Matsepo Faith More have been reappointed as the Chief Financial Officer. The Board of Housing Development Agency, Mr. Mavuso Msimang has been appointed as the chairperson with members Mr. Manda Emmanuel Mutewana, Mr. Praveen Am Singh, Tutuga Sipumezile Songelwa, and Mr. Nkululeko Hosingepile Vilagazi as a representative of the Minister of Public Works. That ends our statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. That was a long one. We'll take questions. We'll start in Pretoria.
Thank you, Chairperson. We don't have any questions at this moment.
It will move fast, Minister. The first one.
Minister Wendell from Reuters, has there been any government-to-government discussions on the MTN matter? Has the Nigerian authorities contacted you people to try and facilitate the speedy resolution as you've indicated? And what do you think this could mean for possible relations between the two countries if, for example, the MTN is like they are contesting the fine and stuff like that? Does it spell, what do you think it will mean?
Yes.
Minister, why does Cabinet believe that there's a commission of inquiry into education is required? Because there is already a task team, and and then on the Black Industrialist Program, that policy, does it set out the criteria for which black industrialists will qualify for funding, and what other aspects does it cover? Thank you.
Hi, Minister. Chantal from the African News Agency. Just has Cabinet figured out where it's going to get the money to fund the shortfall in university funding, and when can we expect an announcement in that regard?
Ati from ENCA. Areas within the Northwest, the Free State and KZN have been experiencing drought conditions over the last year. This is evident and this is reflected in the levels of dams. And this is also per other provinces in the country. What is the government's plan in terms of in terms of how they're going to address this drought crisis?
Thank you. Rahima Esop from EWN. Minister, what's the main purpose of the Broadcasting Amendment Bill? What changes will it introduce to the Broadcasting Act and the main effect on the South African Broadcasting Corporation?
The relations between our country and Nigeria are very good and very cordial. At the General Assembly in September, our President met with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Nigeria, and as well as in their recent meeting in New Delhi in India. So the relations between our two countries are excellent. Our understanding is that the President of Nigeria is very serious about fighting corruption in his country. As we all know, the cabinet has not yet been appointed by him because he wants a new chapter in Nigeria. So this issue does not affect the cordial relations between Nigeria and South Africa. Is in compliance with the laws and the regulations of Nigeria. That is the context within which we should look at this matter. Obviously, there are discussions between MTN and the Nigerian authorities, and we should await the outcome of those talks. The President has decided that he's going to be establishing the Commission of Inquiry into Higher Education. Our understanding that in the next few days, the President will be announcing this commission together with the terms of reference and the scope which will be done. So I think we should await the announcement by the President where all the details of this commission will be outlined. On black industrialists, as I've indicated, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Rob Davies, will be making a separate media briefing where he's going to be outlining the details, so I don't want to steal his thunder, as it were. Money for higher education, decision has been taken already by the President. The money will be found. On drought, I've indicated that Minister Gordon is convening an interministerial committee consisting of the Minister of Water and Sanitation as well as Rural Development and Land Reform. I do understand that they'll be holding a media briefing sometime next week to outline the program of action that will be taken by the government in order to assist in this drought situation. On SABC, Minister Mutambi will also hold a briefing to outline this, but our concern as government is to ensure that good corporate governance must prevail in the SABC. So that's broadly the aim of this amendment bill.
Thank you very much. I think you'll be the last. Or how many? Oh. Andiswa. But this is the last round. Let me rather take all the questions. Yes,
thank you, ma'am. Sir, just two questions, please. on the issue of the money for the universities, you're saying that the money will be found. Could you care to elaborate a little bit more? Where will the government be looking for that money? Where do you maybe think that money can come from? We've heard political parties in Parliament saying, go here, take here, take here. Just from your side, where do you think that money can come from? And then just my second question relates on the increase in unemployment figures. Third straight quarter that unemployment figures are up. Is it a concern to you? And what do you think could be done to change the situation around? Because obviously it's 3 quarters now, and the figures continue to go up. So it means that whatever plans that are on the table at the moment clearly aren't yielding the results. So what needs to change in that regard? Thanks very much.
Andisiwe Makinana from City Press. Minister, when Cabinet congratulated the Springboks on losing the World Cup and coming third, did they discuss the issue of transformation and the makeup of the team 21 years after democracy? Is that an issue at all that you discussed as the Cabinet? Are you happy with the makeup of the team? Thanks.
Good morning, Minister. Paul Vecchiato from Bloomberg. On the MTN issue, yesterday the Deputy President said in the NCOP that should the fine be paid in full, it will definitely affect the South African economy. It will reduce tax revenue coming into the country via MTN, have an impact there. So is the South African government leaving MTN to negotiate or deal with the Nigerian government on their own, or will the South African government be holding some kind of engagement with the Nigerian government on possibly softening their fine or looking for better terms, because it's a whack of a fine for MTN, even though possibly it is their own fault. And then secondly, on yesterday, SABC News reported that the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services had names of 2 South Africans implicated or on the FBI charge sheet for the FIFA issue. Has Cabinet been briefed on this, who they are, and will the South African government support any extradition request by the FBI? Thank you very much.
Minister, could you just please confirm whether or not President Buhari discussed the MTN matter with President Zuma, or if not at the presidential level, if there's been any other sort of minister-to-minister communications, telecommunications minister-to-minister, if not at the presidential level then, please. Thank you.
Thanks. Pretoria, this is the last round. Is there any question from Pretoria?
We still don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Progressive Pretoria. Thanks, Minister.
Thanks. I've already answered the question about money. Money will be found. There's a decision. I'm not the Minister of Finance, but I can assure you the money will be found. This is government. We are concerned about unemployment. That is why there are various initiatives, especially led by our Deputy President, with all stakeholders, business, labor, and organs of civil society, because the responsibility and duty to find jobs does not lie solely on the shoulders of government. As we know, almost 80% of our economy is in the hands of the private sector. So we therefore require a social compact as to what we need to do. There are various initiatives, including Operation Pakisa for the ocean's economy, health, education, and currently on mining, the 9-point plan that the President outlined in the State of the Nation address. So all these initiatives need to bear fruit in the medium to long term. Springboks, they actually won. They've got a bronze medal that they've brought home. So Minister Mbalula, I understand the 12th today will be addressing the media on the issue of transformation, not only of rugby, but in sports in general. On MTN again, as I've indicated, this issue is between MTN and the Nigerian authority. Obviously, as government, we are concerned about this matter, so we do hope that those talks between MTN and the Nigerian authorities will bear fruit, because we are very desirous that economic relations between Nigeria and South Africa must continue from strength to strength. And on the issue of FIFA, Cabinet did not discuss this matter, so I think Minister of Justice will be best positioned to answer those questions. On the issue of minister to minister on MTN, as you know, there's yet not been any cabinet in Nigeria. So that's why Minister of Finance doesn't have a counterpart. So as soon as His Excellency, as I'm saying that as soon as the Minister of Finance there has been appointed, I'm sure there will be interactions between our two countries. But as I've said, there are ongoing engagements between our two presidents. They met in New York, they also met in New Delhi, and as I understand it, they are in communication all the time, as it is normal protocol.
Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of the briefing. Thank you. Thanks, Minister. Yeah. Where? Revash? Sorry.
And that was the Minister in the Presidency for Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Jeff.